Williams. It's not even their strongest squad, not their strongest lineup. They came out so impressive after a relatively slow start. Took them over 27 minutes to get them on the score sheet. But when they did, they looked good, and they didn't miss their coach on the sidelines because he's serving a couple game ban. So he missed this game. But what are your thoughts on their performance?
Well, it's so spectacular what can happen when a team is coached well, isn't it? It's absolutely brilliant. And this Canada team is just an example of that. I think they have a very strict system. They play this 4-4-2 system, but they don't really deviate from it in terms of in and out of possession. Out of possession, you know, Jesse March being of the Red Bull school in Austria or just generally in Europe, he is a very press-first type of manager. And this Canada team, they counter-press very well. They have a very good mid-block, and they're very good off the ball, but in possession as well. They know how to circulate possession well, and they're always extremely vertical with a lot of pace in behind. And their squad is set up perfectly for that. There are a couple other squads, I think, in CONCACAF set up perfectly for that as well. But Jesse Marsh has really brought out the best in this Canada team, and I definitely do see them as one of the two best teams in the competition right now.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I've thought that Canada, they've been doing well in terms of not only the rankings, but the type of football that they're actually playing. And I think Canada and Panama are the top teams in terms of form in CONCACAF right now. I'm not sure if you agree. It's been said that the gap is closing, but I think it's a matter of those two teams in particular catching up with the USA team and the Mexico team, who really haven't been on par, in my opinion, compared to what we've seen from them in previous years.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, especially in terms of the USA. I think Mexico are getting back to playing some of their best football, although their first game was a bit dicey. USA, I'm still not convinced, especially the squad that they have at their disposal. But I think Panama, I'm not quite sure if this is going to be the tournament for them. Obviously, I've mentioned in previous segments that they're missing their linchpin, the 2024 CONCACAF Player of the Year, Carrasquilla. So that's going to be a huge miss for them eventually when it comes on to facing off against these top teams. Canada, I think they have a very strong team. They will be going on and doing big things in the tournament. And it's not only because of the player quality. As I said, because of the style of football they play, it exemplifies or can really highlight qualities even if they don't have their best players available. Because you look at Jonathan David, who many would say, alongside Alphonso Davies, is the best Canadian player available. And he wasn't really too involved in play, Jonathan David. He was much more of a facilitator in things. Buchanan was storming in at the back post. And, you know, I said it in the group chat yesterday. I'm not quite sure if you guys understood what I meant, but I said when I watch Canada play, I get very annoyed. And I get very annoyed.
No, we didn't understand what you meant at all.
I get very annoyed because I now see a Canadian team, I hate to bring back parallels to Jamaica, but because we are Jamaican, I'm seeing that Mariah isn't here. So we have an all-Jamaican panel, so I have to say it.
We don't.
Oh, Sir Lance, I beg your pardon.
The Bayesian over here.
Yeah, the man from the great island of Barbados. That's my fault.
Right.
Sir Lance, I don't want any fans to...
Why are misleading the viewing public?
Sir Lance, there's no need to comment.
We understand.
But there are people who will believe that I'm a Barbadian.
They should.
Why would they?
Because it's true.
Yeah. Exactly, you know, there's no complaints here. So just roll it. You were saying this.
As you were saying.
So, you know, I have to think about Jamaica. And when you see this Canada team, I would pose a question to all of you. Do you think, man for man, this Canada team is outright a much better team, personnel-wise, than a Jamaica team?
Yes.
I would definitely disagree at that statement. I think apart from Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies, especially Alphonso Davies, who's a borderline world-class player, but apart from Jonathan David...
So you're saying that if we're supposed to do a combined 11, you're saying that more Jamaicans will be in that combined 11 than Canadians?
I think you'll be relatively even. I think the quality in the team is even, and we can run through the squad really quickly. I mean, I don't think Canada has a better centre-back than Ethan Pinnock. I don't think that Canada has Apart from Buchanan, of course, I don't think is Buchanan much better than a Demarai Gray or a Leon Bailey. I don't think so.
Well,
Obviously,
we're looking at guys performing at the international level, right? And not just what they do for
yeah,
clubs
but why,
and reputation.
But why do they perform at the international level? Because they're being coached well and platformed well. I'm sure if you put Buchanan, he's of Jamaican descent. If he were to happen to come and play for Jamaica and you put him on a wing and isolate him and he has to take on 2-3 players every time he touches the ball, as opposed to being vertical and always in space and being in a system that really highlights his qualities. That's why he looks so good. That's why coaches get paid the big bucks. And let's just say that at the moment, the Jamaican coaching staff isn't quite highlighting and platforming the qualities of our best players very well.
Well, the second round of matches will commence tonight with Costa Rica taking on the Dominican Republic and Suriname battling Mexico. But there will be particular intrigue on Thursday afternoon surrounding how Trinidad and Tobago will rebound from their 5-0 drubbing at the hands of USA in their opening contest as they face Haiti, who also lost their opening encounter. The Soca Warriors head coach Dwight York had this to say ahead of the match. In his words, the must-win clash. We need to put that loss behind us very quickly because there are 2 more games to go. Certainly we have to win maximum points against Haiti, and that will be the intention going forward. This is a learning experience for my team. They are relatively young. The level that some of these players are playing at, you're asking them to step up from the level that they are at to international football. It was an eye-opener for us, and we got some work to be done. Obviously, that statement is true from Dwight York, and Trinidad and Tobago, they are still hoping to express themselves in a matchup that is going to be really difficult because Haiti, they have been doing so well in recent years.
Yeah, I think Haiti, they disappointed me a bit in the game against Saudi Arabia. I don't quite think they showed the quality, especially the composure in the final third that I've grown accustomed to seeing.
But that wasn't a coaching issue, right?
No, because I think a coach's job is to get his team into dangerous areas. Anything apart from that is just down to player quality. I don't think Haiti quite showed the quality that they have been showing over the past couple of years. I think they'll want to get better. But, I was watching the segment on Monday. I rewatched it as well earlier today. And Brent was pretty calm. I didn't expect him to be so calm after the USA game. I expected him to be a little more upset because as a fan of football and, especially, we have someone from Trinidad on our set, on our team. So, I'm not going to say I root for Trinidad, but I have a little feeling towards the country. I don't want my colleague to be upset. So when I was seeing Trinidad, and that was a woeful performance. I came in here and I really dug into Jamaica. If I was here on Monday, just say that the Trinidad public would lose a few subscribers for sure because it was really bad. So Trinidad, they have a lot of work to do to bounce back, and I think it will be a relatively close game.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, and Brent correctly said it, that it was defensively that Trinidad and Tobago were really, really poor. And I accept that. I want to think, though, that if Levi Garcia plays and he's such a potent attacking threat, that it would force any opposing team, even the USA, to reconstruct how they are playing the game. And I'm thinking that maybe if Garcia had played in that match, I accept that it was defensively that the team fell down, but his offensive threat could have troubled the USA in a way that would not have made them so fluent as a team.
You're correct. You're correct, of course, because he is a game-changing type of player. And, of course, say he would have gotten on the end of an early chance and made it 1-0 to Trinidad and Tobago, it would have changed the game state. But
they were poor.
Yeah, no, Trinidad were very poor. And it's a cardinal sin, as I said it in our group chat as well. There is no way you can be passive off the ball and not employ a high press, but still have space between the lines and in behind. If you're doing all of the 3 of those things, you're doing something completely wrong as a coaching unit when it comes down to coaching and
Recipe
defense.
for disaster.
Yeah, all 3 of those things should not be happening at once. So usually if you have a passive front line in terms of your press,
yes,
you're going to be much more compact and keep a deeper line. And if you have space in behind, it's because you're pressing high to win the ball higher. Trinidad were doing none of them at the same time. It was really concerning. Hopefully, Dwight York can fix those things around.
And with Garcia likely to play, in their second fixture, there has to be hope that they can rebound well.
Yeah, I think so because, as I said, he's a player that can make something happen out of nothing, really. And when you combine that with Molino, Natty James, who came off of the bench and looked very bright as well, I think he will get a start. So I think when it comes down to Trinidad, they just need to try and find a way to get those players on the ball as much as possible. And most importantly, find a way to stop Haiti from getting into dangerous scenarios.
No honeymoon?
Maybe saving it for after the tournament.
Yeah. Well, I thought so when Brent had mentioned that he's likely to return for game 2, that there would be no honeymoon.
Which means that he probably could have postponed the wedding, right?
Isn't that the best part of the wedding?
No,
That's-
the wedding is separate. When you get married, you'll understand. The wedding is separate. The honeymoon is, after.
Wait, hold on. What kind of style like that? Huh?
No, I'm just saying that he will understand.
Is there something wrong with not being married all of a sudden?
No, there's nothing wrong with not being married. You can.
No, he's just explaining the best part.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that it's a process.
It's a process.
It's all a process.
I wouldn't
You
know.
build
I
up
wouldn't.
to the honeymoon.
Well, there's nothing building up, really, in a sense.
My issue here is that it's being skipped.
I think it's postponed.
Or delayed.
Yeah, postponed is the right word.
Okay.
Which meant that the wedding probably could have been postponed.
Try telling your wife that you want to
Let's not
postpone
get
their
in the
wedding.
man's business. Let's deal with the football aspect and see how he performs on the field.
Oh, yeah. So we're upon
Post-wedding.
we have to go. We take another break.